inflammatory disease in the gut, so they had no intestinal flora. Well, if you have no intestinal flora, especially as a child, you can't develop the immune system because that's the center of it. The short version of this, each one of these topics I'm telling you, there's a complete chapter on the website, but the short version is we must flood the colon with probiotics during the 60-day program. It's like 9 capsules per day. And then for the first time, the colon will begin to be restored to normal operation, and get rid of the sludge alongside, and get rid of leaky gut syndrome and re-establish peristalsis. Remember that? Okay, expel, so it's a 1-2 punch. It's a 2-part clearing process for the colon. Expel is a hundreds of years old formula of 7 simple herbs whose job is, remember those layers of sludge along the wall of the colon I told you about? These herbs, they chip it away. It comes out in chips. And I have a whole lot of stories in the section that tells about people who, okay, at one point, okay, you start taking 3 Expel at dinner for 60 days, right? If you've never done it before, chances are after a couple weeks, one morning, a whole lot more is going to come out of you than ever came out before. When that happens, what do I say? No, I say, do not call me, I don't care. You know, what's the alternative? What's the alternative? That it would stay inside you, okay? So we're trying to clear it out. Just keep doing it for 60 days. So please read the chapter. The chapter is called Journey to the Center of Your Colon. Next one is minerals. Like I said, in John Robbins' book, Diet for a New America, he talks about how we have 5% of the topsoil in the United States today that we had in 1900. Everyone agrees with that. That's not just an opinion. So minerals are an important cofactor for each one of those 5,000 metabolic enzymes and your digestive enzymes as well. We must have mineral supplementation. It teaches you about chelated minerals. So please read that chapter. We already talked about oral chelation. The enzymes can clear water-soluble things from the tract and the blood. Water-soluble things. But they can't clear atherosclerotic plaque from the arteries, and they can't soak up heavy metals like aluminum, mercury, and strontium and things like that. That's why we need oral chelation. Please read that chapter. Omega-8s, that's Patrick Flanagan's life's work. In any real program of detoxification, any legit detox program, as we mine and stir up and flush from the body all these stored toxins that have been in you all your life, right? That is going to produce new free radicals. These free radicals can be destructive to cells and tissues. We must neutralize them as they're being elicited. That is what megahydrate does. It is the antioxidant. It is mostly hydrogen ions. Finally, hydrolyzed collagen. And as all our structures of our body begin this downward progression, we call that ptosis. In addition to that, with the inflammatory diseases that we set up in our joints and in our digestive tract, our tissues are degenerating. We need to add back the building blocks of the body's own new collagen. 2-sentence summary of this addition, this ingredient to the 60-day program. Now, as I said, each one of these subjects, I've skipped a whole lot. Each one of these topics has its own chapter, so please look at that. I've been promoting this 60-day program all over the world for some years, and it's very successful. But this year, I just decided, well, I haven't done it for a while, so I have to walk the talk, so I have to really do this, right? So I'm now in I'm halfway done with the 60-day program right now. So that means, no processed food. It's really not that difficult. You just have to plan ahead a little and make sure that you eat a lot, like I haven't been the last couple days. The hardest thing for me was ice cream, and no saltines. I like to eat those because there's no refined carbohydrates, and there's no pasteurized dairy, and there's no hydrogenated oils. If you can cut those three things out of your lifestyle, you can make rapid progress toward optimum health. Anyway, Burt Baskins, ever hear of Baskin Robbins? Died when he was 54, right? So we know that ice cream is a primary cause of heart disease, blocking the heart, right? Diabetes, all this refined sugar. Now I have a whole extensive chapter on sugar on the website. It's called Sugar, the Sweet Thief of Life. That's your note number 161. In addition, all the trans fats from all the fried foods with fried and hydrogenated oils, the pervasiveness of hydrogenated oils in all our snack foods ends up, it's a bioaccumulative. Trans fat does not occur in nature. It's only man-made. And there are only two ways trans fats can be created. One is heat, one is hydrogenation. But they are permanent. They can be permanent through leaky gut syndrome, since we can't break them down. They end up in the arteries, in the joints, and any place where they can take up residence. Also, did you know that another component of ice cream is gum? So that's for scoopability. So there's a very high gum content, which has no nutritional value. So here's a chapter. Of course, most of you know that the average American eats 150 pounds of white sugar per year, which has no food value, virtually no food value. It has inflammatory, allergenic value. It's a devitalized non-nutrient, right? With a net metabolic deficit. Don't tell me you get energy from sugar. This sugar high it's the sympathetic response of the body being shocked into trying to get rid of it. So that's your note number 60. Type 2 diabetes. Did you know that in 2005, 5% of the population was type 2 diabetic? By 2011, that had doubled to 10% of the population. At the present time, the CDC is predicting that by 2030, 33% of the population, one in three, will be type 2 diabetic. Now, type 2 diabetic means you did it. You earned it. You wanted it. You went for it. And the problem is your doctor wants to diagnose you with type 2 diabetes. Why? Because that is a lifetime of fake insulin prescriptions for you, glipizide, glucophage. So it's a very, what's the word? It's a very cavalier, very casual criterion. The test in order to diagnose you, there's a lot of motivation behind that. The irony is this, as John was explaining, it's extremely simple to cure type 2 diabetes. We've done it hundreds of times. 60 days or less is all it really takes. So you can read that chapter. Okay, now here's the problem. If you want to know more than your medical doctor about diabetes, I'm about to tell you something that they don't know. A medical doctor does not know the difference between simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. They really think there's no difference between an apple and a Twinkie. That's really true. Anybody who uses this word carbs is in the same boat. If somebody's talking to you about nutrition and the phrase carbs come up, you can, suddenly be called away because they have nothing to tell you. The difference being a complex carbohydrate like a banana or an apple or those carrots contain within itself all the enzymes necessary for its complete breakdown and uptake by the body. That's a complex carbohydrate, right? Simple carbohydrates, which would be white sugar would be an example, cannot be digested. It just sits there in your gut and ferments for a while. It has no usable glucose. It breaks down into water, acetic acid, alcohol, and carbon dioxide.